We are back. You are chatting with John P. Today we are going to be talking about the top 4th of July or United States of America themed watches. That's right, July 4th, which is the Independence Day here in the United States of America, is coming up in just a day or two, and it kind of celebrates the independence of the United States and that whole story. We're not going to make this a history lesson, though we are going to talk about these very cool 5 U.S. Themed watches that I think would be just a great watch to wear for the holiday or all year round. There's kind of an interesting story about some of these as well. And by the way, like and subscribe, all that stuff. But in addition, I have 10 watches that we just got in here at delraywatch.com, and I'm going to fly through them really quickly because we're getting in just some very crazy things right now, and we're having a 4th of July sale, so I do have to mention that. And nothing is on the wrist right now because I was playing with all of these watches I have here that you can't see. So really quickly, let's run through them, then we're going to get into the 5 watches. We just got in this solid gold Roger Dubuis, very excellent. I love this thing. There's going to be a picture here. It's not live yet, but soon. Roger Dubuis, one of the most underrated high-end manufacturers out there. And we actually have another Roger Dubuis, the Sports Activity Watch by Roger Dubuis. I love this thing. Chunky, heavy, features that very high-end caliber Roger Dubuis movement. Love this automatic sports watch. Of course, Explorer 36, excellent piece we have here by Rolex. We also have, and a little bit of foreshadowing, it's on the list, Rolex Pepsi GMT Master 2. These things are crazy in price right now. Zenith, very complicated Zenith we just got in. It's got the travel time. It's got the different time zones, power reserve, big date, awesome goodness, chunky, heavy sports watch case, high-end manufacturer. Zenith, we've got another Zenith Elite. We've got, I love this one, this vintage-inspired kind of re-release Omega Seamaster 300. Gorgeous piece, awesome piece with the coaxial 8400 movement by Omega. Cannot go wrong with that. Another Omega. We get so many Omegas. We got this two-tone titanium and rose gold Omega Seamaster chronograph. You do not see this one every day, and wow, it's a little bit playful on the dial. It has those thick lume markers, but yet it has that gold, it has the titanium, so it is sophisticated and refined. You don't see this every day. That's enough to be said on that. And of course, we got some more Speedmaster coaxials, a couple of other pieces here, but just check them out. We're getting a lot of cool things in, guys, and it's all by request, by the way. We stock the things that you request. We keep lists of it, and that's what we put in our shop for you, the viewers of both Federico's channel and mine, so we do appreciate you sticking around for that. So let's hop onto the list here of 5 awesome United States or America, as some might call it, themed watches. The first is the Quorum Liberty Coin. Now, Quorum, I believe they started the brand in around the 50s, the 1950s, and ever since they've had a couple of iconic models, including the Admiral's Cup, the bridges, as well as the bubble. Now, which the bubble's also on the list, but this particular model is the Quorum Liberty Coin. Now, this one pictured here is the Liberty Head Double Eagle Coin. It's actually a coin that's been cut in the half. It's United States, a little bit of a collectible coin there for you coin buffs out there. And they cut it right in half. They use it as the dial. And this watch, they've produced other versions with different coins in the past. And it just has that rich American heritage. It's precious metal. I think it's really beautiful, attractive. It's historic, so it checks off the box for those guys that are into that type of thing out there. And there have been a lot of U.S. presidents that have been spotted wearing some of the earlier versions of this particular watch by Quorum. For example, George Bush Sr., Ronald Reagan, Lyndon Johnson, Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon, and Bill Clinton. So, definitely not partisan here. You've got the Democrats and Republicans wearing this thing. So at least, maybe they can correct their differences here together by wearing these and sharing in the camaraderie during the holiday season that comes with this Quorum Liberty Coin watch. I don't know, right? It's a nice thing to think about. Next, another Quorum watch, the Quorum Bubble American Flag. Now, we actually did have this watch a little bit some time ago at Delray Watch, and I was surprised how quickly it sold. It's the Quorum Bubble, so for those of you that are not familiar, it has a very special crystal that's in the shape of an actual bubble. It's very deep curve, much unlike any other watch crystal that's out there, and that's what the bubble is known for. The whole watch looks like a bubble. In recent times, Quorum has been coming out with so many special editions, partnerships, ones that have pirate ships, you name it. So many cool little interesting artsy designs, and some partnerships even with some famous artists. But this one's the American flag. There's not a lot to say about it except for clearly it has an American flag. It's nice, it's patriotic, and for you die-hard United States fans out there that like to add a little bit of pizzazz and show kind of your national spirit here, this is a pretty good option for you. Of course, it has an ETA-based movement. It's a large, chunky watch. It's sports. It's on rubber. It checks the box for a certain number of guys, and I remember the person that bought this watch was just so happy and ecstatic because they were actually looking for this type of watch, which is amazing, right? So moving on to, I don't want to say a brand that's overlooked, but more of a brand that is not in the mainstream because they like to incorporate kind of interesting materials and interesting stories, and I think that as cool of a watch as it is, and it is of quality, I think that watch geeks kind of push it aside, but I don't necessarily agree with it. This one is the Romain Jerome Liberty DNA. And we do not have this in stock, by the way. It's it's modeled to look like the Statue of Liberty, right? And Romain Jerome, they've got a Titanic one, they've got some volcano watches, and what they say here is that they met up with this group called the Liberty Ellis Island Foundation, and I guess this group, they really are, the caretakers of the Statue of Liberty as well as Ellis Island as historic landmarks in the United States. If you're not familiar with Ellis Island, for those of you outside of the United States, it was basically a place where early immigrants would go and get processed in order to be, assimilated into the United States population for the time. So it's a historic landmark. And what they've done here, Romain Jerome with the watch, is there's a little icon that says Liberty DNA on the dial, and apparently that is actually made from material from the Statue of Liberty. Now, aside from the organization that they say helped them to obtain this material, I don't know how that worked. I imagine probably they gave some kind of donation to the foundation, and Romain Jerome's been making watches for a while. I think they can probably cut a check or two, but it's an interesting talking piece more so than an example of crazy horology and, utmost sophistication in the watch. That's what they do, right? They're known for little cool talking pieces, and it's a nice watch, right? It's comprised of bronze, it's got other metal in there, and it has that dial that has that green kind of hammered texture that looks just like the Statue of Liberty. I think it's a really attractive watch. Now, I probably would try to get a bit of a discount on it if I were you, because Romain Jerome, I won't say that they stick too close to their retail prices long term, but if that's not of consideration, but having something that is of American heritage spirit and that talking point, it's a pretty good option for you. Going on to something that is a little more affordable in the list, but still very respected in the watch community, I would say the Seiko SKX Pepsi. The colors of the United States of America are red, white, and blue, or at least that's what they taught me in the Boy Scouts. But what we have is basically a Pepsi watch, red, white, and blue. Seiko, these can be had for a few $100s, and it's a nice sports watch. Maybe you're splashing around by the pool, it's a dive watch after all, or maybe you're just grilling with some family, having some cherished moments. You can slap one of these on the wrist. A lot of you already have them, so maybe pull it out of the watch box and bring it into rotation, and maybe someone will kind of commend you on, fulfilling that whole red, white, and blue thing that happens where people go to these parties and wear the red, white, and the blue. I can't say that I've ever done that, but I know that some people like to show the spirit and dress in red, white, and blue. And lastly, how can you have a 4th of July celebration with red, white, and blue without the Rolex GMT Master 2 Pepsi? Now, we all know it, most of us love it, and certainly the market loves it, and it really shows it. These things are skyrocketing higher than a fireworks display on 4th of July in terms of pricing. And yes, I thought of that myself on the spot. Silly, right? So, the Pepsi, I think we have one of these at DelroyWatch.com. This is the one of the earlier examples, and these have really gone up in price because of the tritium. They're starting to get transitional, turning vintage. And if you have one of these, and I think a lot of you have added these to your collection recently, a nice subtle reminder to add this onto your wrist rotation for the holiday weekend. Man, I cannot believe the market on these things right now, guys. Love the watch. I think that's where we'll leave that for now. So, hopefully you enjoyed this list of United States 4th of July red, white, and blue inspired watches. Now, whether you're in the United States or maybe not, I think there's something a little bit something that all of us can enjoy on the list, whether it's the unique materials or just a cool red, white, and blue. There's other countries out there that share the same color ways, so perhaps you can introduce those into your collection or your rotation for your national holiday. And it was actually just Canada Day the other day. I don't know if any of you Canadians are out there. Leave in the comments below what you're doing for 4th of July, and if you're not celebrating 4th of July, maybe you're having some interesting weekend plans. I'm sorry, you're marginalized on this one. What can we do? Anyway, guys, quick episode for you. Have a very safe and enjoyable holiday weekend, and we'll see you next week on Chatting with John P. Ciao.